Let's get to a digging deep. We talked yesterday about how the birth rate has dropped last year during the pandemic, and it actually fell to an all-time low in 2020.
And the reason for this, and yes, we are very pro-family around here, obviously, but the reason that that's important is because when your birth rate is exceeded by your mortality rate or your communities or your nation's mortality rates, bad things happen.
Right. Japan's been dealing with that problem for about 30 years now. China's going to have that problem because they had that one-child policy, and they've now realized that this is bad for their country.
Because if you don't have more Americans, the living standards for most Americans are in jeopardy.
We need to have an average. We need to have an average of 2.1 children per female in this country. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. That sounds very politically incorrect.
But if you don't do that,
what about birthing persons?
They're called
2.1 babies
per woman.
Birthing person.
That's a woman. I'm not gonna be mean to women by saying.
All right. Well, whatever.
Okay. Last year, the fertility rate fell to 1.64 children per woman in this country. So that's not how you have a population continue to grow. Now, look, births fell in 2020 4% over 2019. It's been falling since 2007 at a rate about 2% per year. Now, for the first half of 2020, we were at that 2% number, okay? But for the second half of 2020, it fell to 6%. With an 8% drop in the month of December alone. Now, do the math. The first month of the lockdown was March, right? Go forward 9 months, it's December, and we have an 8% drop in births in that month.
Are you saying that it's because of the economy, people were out of work?
Well,
the uncertainty of the future, the world was going to end according to Lord Fauci and all the...
Let me give you one other piece of information here. Here are the states with the biggest declines in birth rates in the second half of 2020. All right? These are the states that had the biggest declines. New Mexico at 11%. New York, 9%. California, Hawaii, and West Virginia at 8%. Now take West Virginia out of the equation, and you're looking at 4 of the states with the strictest lockdown orders, right?
Sure.
Well, especially New York, California, and Hawaii. This gets to why people weren't having babies. It's money. Kids are expensive. It used to be kids were a net financial gain. Back when most Americans lived on farms, more kids equaled more labor, and that also meant more security for your old age. But as we've moved into cities, kids are a net financial drain. As much as $13,000 per child per year on average. We've broken up families. They're no longer a guarantee of support in your old age. These are financial decisions. Forbes magazine last year, here's what they wrote. The online personal finance company SoFi and reproductive health company Modern Fertility partnered together to survey thousands of women about why they were waiting to have children. The number one leading reason was money, with 60% of participants reporting that they're delaying childbearing due not to having enough money, and 51% reporting they want to earn a higher salary first.
You know, you use the word financial drain when speaking about a child.
Okay.
I never put it in, I never even considered that it's a financial drain. Yes,
it is.
Well, of course, it costs
money
to support, to feed children, to house them, to clothe them.
Right.
Yes. But that is a gift of life.
I agree. But a lot of times we don't fully understand that gift until after we have the kids. It's not quite as obvious when you don't have the kids what a gift they actually are, how much better they make your life.
But there's a lot of Americans that don't feel comfortable.
There you go.
Bringing another human being into this quote-unquote world, especially when they talk about climate change, et cetera, et cetera.
That is a real thing, and there are some people that are campaigning against that.
And you've got folks waiting later in life
Great point.
to get married.
In 1972, the average age for a first-time mother was 21 years old. Now it's 26. In big cities, the average age of first-time moms is closer to 31. We've made it harder to get into the workforce by raising the minimum wage in this country. We've talked about that on the show before, right?
Sure.
We've taken out that first rung of the ladder to success. That affects people in their late teens and early 20s the most. We've driven up the cost of housing, especially in big cities, through regulations and restrictions. So we're delaying the time that young adults think they can afford kids, which means they have kids later, which means they likely have fewer kids overall. The pandemic lockdowns just made all of that worse, and that means fewer babies as a result.
Well, I hope this trend reverses itself, and
It's
I think
not going to reverse itself on its own. That's one of the things I'm trying to get across here.
But if the economy picks up for good, and Americans are convinced that happier days lie ahead, such as in a Trump administration,
and the price of housing comes down,
then maybe we'll be making a few more babies.